Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
The 3 o'clock hour has arrived, and I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item, as usual, is to receive and approve the minutes of our meeting of August 5th.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. The motion is approved. Sir, we are ready for our first considered item.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. We have 3 items for your consideration today. First item is we like to use $49,855 in 2000 general obligation bond, which is Proposition 2 Bridges and Listed Fund for BC 0208, which is Bridge Database Maintenance citywide. Let me explain what this program is. There are currently 575 bridges in Oklahoma City, and they are considered off-system bridges because they are not on the highway system, and they are inspected on an regular interval basis, and ODOT provides 80% of the cost of the inspections. Based on these inspections, we have an engineer, Cobb Engineering, that does these inspections and determines any deficiencies that bridges have. And based on these reports, and you will see an example of it on the slide, all the recommended repairs are going to be recommended, and based on that and available funds, we can repair some of these in 3 ways. Either it's a minimal repair that street maintenance may be fixing it, or if it's too large for the street maintenance, then we use our unit price bridge contract in order to repair them. Or we have to do a contract for a contractor to do it if it's way too large and out of scope for a unit price contract. You probably have heard deficient bridges and substantially deficient bridges. Sometimes that technical term is interpreted as, the bridge is ready to fall. Well, it's not really the case. None of the 575 bridges are closed, but structurally deficient means that they need some kind of repair in either the deck or superstructure or substructure, and they need to be prioritized for maintenance and repair. To just give you where we stand on structurally deficient bridges, the national average is 15%. We are less than 10%, so we are doing better than national average. Now, the county bridges are a different story. They're basically 32%, and but thanks to the old Highway 40 bridge, some of the beams have been used or being used to repair some of these county bridges. So hopefully that number will improve in the next report. So I open it to any questions you have.
I have a question or two. Is the spalling and the deterioration of the steel beams, is that a result of our de-icing efforts, or is this just lack of maintenance?
Well, we don't use de-icing as much as other states, but it does have a factor in it. Of course, freezing and thawing, and also, the deterioration over time, wear and tear on the deck, that contributes to that.
That's the spalling issue. The steel issue is somewhat different, is it not?
Yes.
Are we going to catch up with the maintenance of these, or is there a problem that we're never going to catch up with?
Well, we really like to, in the 2007 general obligation bond, the amount of money allocated, at that time, the amount of money that was put in seemed to be sufficient, but, it is not. Same goes with the drainage. There's a lot of need for drainage with all the floods, and so there's more need to repair those as well.
Thank you. Eric Winger, Public Works Director. The reports that are part of the contract today are really to give us that assessment of the bridges, of the 575 bridges that we oversee in Oklahoma City. Some of the pictures that you see today are some of the conditions that are a result of those reports. And as Ahmad mentioned, there are certain terminology and certain words that are given to some of these bridges as structurally deficient, and it isn't a word to be cause for alarm. Obviously, when you look at some of these pictures, there might be some concern shared as you kind of see some of the painted surfaces needing treatment. Obviously, the paint helps protect those bridge beams, but the bridge beams are structurally safe, and so those crossings are all opened, but we can actually use these to plan for future work, and whether it be funding that is available to the department now where we can go out and prioritize the work that's needed, whether this be a tool that we use for future bond issues to seek that work. But at any time that there's an emergency that's identified, we would immediately address that if we had some sort of a condition that would arise that would cause that bridge to be unsafe. And so those aren't concerns on any of the emergency work or anything that would be considered critical. So assurances from the department and from the city that we do address those bridges of immediate need as they occur. On these others that are on these routine inspections, we monitor them very, very closely and make sure that as they change, we address them before they become an issue.
Are bridges ever, the steel structures, are they ever repainted?
They are. From time to time, there are treatments where those surfaces are scraped and cleaned. I don't know of several that we've done recently. There are obviously a lot of bridges that aren't steel structural supported. There's a lot that are actually concrete cast. So some of those that you see in the pictures here are those that are steel. Many of them are concrete as well. But yes, from time to time, they are scraped and they are retreated as part of the project.
I apologize. I think I misread this initially. I thought this was to actually do maintenance on the bridges, and like we do our annual, like for street repairs and stuff. And I get the feeling now that this is really just to develop a plan, and that might be better to use MFA money if we're just doing a design plan or an A&E plan rather than actual bond money. Or are we actually doing repairs with this?
The action that's before you today is actually for a unit price contract that actually provides for also repairs. And so what you're having is this is a way where we can go out and address not just the inspections, but we actually do work from this contract as needed. So it's for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, any other questions concerning this item? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion, please. Have a motion and a second. All in favor of this item? Aye. The item is approved.
Thank you. The second item is we are canceling a project, PR-19-12/13. This is a street resurfacing project on MacArthur Boulevard from Northwest 23rd to Northwest 30th Street. This project was submitted 2 years ago for ACOG consideration, and it was selected for federal fiscal year 2014, which starts in October this year. In the last 2 months, we started looking closer at this project. At the time of submittal, the pavement condition for this stretch of road was considered to be poor, like 38 from a scale of 0 to 100. And when choosing projects for ACOG, we look at areas that have high traffic volumes, high accident, and this was one of the projects that fit that mold to compete with other municipalities and other agencies in the ACOG. So it was selected. The traffic count for this stretch of MacArthur is 20,390, and that's a 2013 traffic count. Since then, the field verification and the new software that we had determined that PCI, the pavement condition, was in error. It's actually 72, which is better shaped than what we thought it was. So we like to cancel this stretch of the MacArthur and put the money back into the control account. And the next item will choose another section of MacArthur that is better fit for resurfacing, and we will be sending it as a Transportation Improvement Program amendment in October to cancel this project and replace it with the next section that is from Reno to Northwest 10th. There was $110,000 approved by this body and City Council in July. So we like to take that back and replace it with the other section. Any questions?
Clarification. I thought you were saying that some others deteriorated more since then. You're saying the error in reading. The data was wrong.
Yes, actually the calculations for the pavement condition was in error. It was showing 38 instead of showing it 72. Scale of 70 and above only requires macro surfacing application, which gives 8 more years to the life of pavement. So this showed that we had selected the wrong section. Basically, we realized that it's better condition than what it was, and field verification also told us. We are doing more field verifications before we submit this. Usually when we get to select these projects, we have to look at 20, 30 plus projects of different type, and sometimes there's not enough time to go out and drive every one of these projects, and sometimes we depend on the programs that we have available, so that number was wrong. But we checked our program, and this is not a normal case, it's an anomaly in our data, so this was just a mistake.
It's rare for a governmental entity to admit that an error has been made and allowed, or at least requested, that the funds involved would be reprogrammed. So let me congratulate your organization on admitting this and allowing us to be aware of it.
Move to approve the request.
Have a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. The item is approved.
Thank you. Next item, as I mentioned, we like to basically replace the section from Northwest 23rd to 30th with MacArthur from Reno to Northwest 10th. We are asking $150,000, and considering that this is a mile-long stretch compared to the half a mile, which was the other section, I think it's a very good economical way, because 80% of that is going to be covered by Oklahoma DOT or ACOG, the federal participation funds. The pavement through here is very poor. It's the PCI index, the pavement condition index, is 29, which means it requires major base repair, and pavement is in need of great repair. We will be amending the Transportation Improvement Program in October, and we'll officially request ACOG to cancel the other project and replace it with this. The good thing is that the federal fiscal year has not started, and we can amend the TIP basically to replace the project. The traffic count for this section is 20,266. and it's a 2013 traffic count. Any questions I can accommodate?
Any questions concerning this?
It is a 29 currently. 29, yes. So there's a lot of repair. As you see in some of the pictures close to the intersection, as you see, the pavement is really rotted and needs a lot of repair.
Is that a base failure? What is that?
Not all of it, but yes, some part of it could be the base, which we have to go in and repair or replace part of that, take it totally out and repair it and replace it, and then we would mill the surface and overlay it with final lift, and with nice striping it would look like new.
Any questions concerning this item?
Move we approve.
Have a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Are there any informational items from staff?
We have none.
Any new business? Any items from committee members? Other than, I have a question for our attorney. Are we covered under the Open Meetings Act? Or are we that official that we are covered or not covered of the...
We are covered by our ordinance, which says we'll comply with open meetings, but the state law really would not require this board to comply with open meetings because we're just a recommending body. But the City Council has adopted an ordinance that says that all of our boards will comply with the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, so if we should have lunch together at the local barbecue establishment, how many would have to be there before we were illegal?
Well, you couldn't have a quorum, but if you were not talking about any city business, you'd be okay.
That question is of interest. Citizens to be heard. Hearing none, I would move that have a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. We are stand adjourned.